Hello, welcome to Tai Chi outside today while we're working on a power outage. So we're gonna just kind of do a more brief class while my phone has some battery today. So let's start with some warm-ups, and I'm gonna do a little less talking today. So if you can't see me, pop in, but if you can see me, just try to follow along with our warm-ups today. Circles overhead. Times. Spiraling to the side. Alternating left and right. To the front. A couple of times. Overhead. Wide. Let's reach side to side. Arms. Make two fists, rub your kidneys in the back. Gently stretch the neck with left and right. Up and down. Mid shoulder. Our shoulders back. Both hands window. Circle the waist. Both directions. We're gonna do some Bagua drills to warm up. So just follow along for this one. I'll come a little bit closer. Just gonna sink and block each side. So we're just alternating sides. We're gonna sink and block. Just to get warmed up here a little bit. So this is a full body movement. Sink and rise up to block, sink, block, sink, block. Full body movement. You can use your knees. Blocking with the outside of the forearm. Let's go through our standing meditation. We'll just do a few counts for each as review. First hand position. Second. Third. Let's review our teacup palms. Start out, forward to the side, back, both sides, teacup palms. Start behind the back this time. Behind the back forward, and back overhead. To the front again. Out the side, behind the head, back at the hip. Again, start behind the back. And let's make some nice big circles. So nice slow controlled movements. Circle with our hands. Out to the sides, overhead, down. Just making a nice big circle with our whole body. Make sure you go both directions. Good. Just a few more wrist circles. Let's run through the postures that we've learned so far. Stay hydrated, especially if it's warm and your air conditioning is out. So I'm gonna back up, we'll do brush me. And just today is a good reminder to always be really aware of your surroundings. So I'm in a new area, and what I needed to do was clear some branches and some debris to make sure that I have a relatively flat and safe surface to be working on. And anytime that you practice outdoors on an uneven area, areas where you're going from, maybe say you have transition points, you have some hard floor and you have some rug, or there's any sort of extra things that you need to be aware of in your environment. Slow down and just always chat. I know that we're usually focused on the screen, we're focused, we kind of want to direct with our eyes where we're going. However, we want to stay safe when we practice. So just make sure you're aware if there's an unlevel area, if there's any debris or any slipping or fall hazards in your area. So just always good to be aware of our surroundings as we're moving our body through space. So I'm going to back up and let's just follow along. And this will be more of a practice today and just a review. So let's start with brush me left and right. So I'm just going to make use of my space. I did a row of brush knees going forward. To start with Golden Rooster on uneven ground would maybe not be very wise of me. So let's go with Repulse Monkey. And as I go back, I can do a little bit of a drag step. So toes continue to point forward. I'm just going to be cautious as I step back, being mindful that I have some uneven ground. And I'll come forward again with brush knee left and right. And again, I'm going to back up with some more Repulse Monkeys. Make sure we're all still here. Okay. Repulse Monkey, left and right. It's a bit more quiet now. Power company has done what they need to do and they've left apparently. All right, let's do some parting wild horses mane. Right. Okay, checking in here again. It's a little hard to see from my screen here. Now we'll go ahead and back up with Golden Rooster, stands on one leg. Just remember to take your time to sink into your leg, to root down into the ground before you lift and take your step back. versus main. Bow stance to the corner. Cat stance. Bow stance to the corner. Rock back. Change my feet with the cat stance. Finish bow stance to the corner. Okay. And again, we'll go backwards with a row of golden roosters. Take your time in this setup, get nice and rooted and aligned in your supporting leg. And being on uneven ground, let your foot wobble a little bit, and then the rest of your leg will follow. Kind of create your equilibrium from the ground up. Okay. So I think you've heard me say a few times clean steps or drag steps, or one of the things that we can say is a treading mud step. And in different forms and in different situations, we want to use different ways of stepping. And I believe in class, we even did a chicken step before when we were doing some bagua. So this is all awareness of our bodies in space and our surroundings and adapting to the environment. So if I have a nice, clean, well-lit surface, I'm indoors, or I'm maybe, say, like in a basketball court or somewhere where there's consistent footing. When there's consistent footing, it's much easier for me to be on a flat surface and to find balance. Go practice in sand or in a lumpy, bumpy lawn, like the one I'm in now. Go practice where you have a little bit of uneven footing, and just as if you were, practicing walking or running, say jogging on asphalt, try then jogging in sand or in deep footing, and you're going to have a totally different feeling, a totally different workout. It's going to affect your tendons differently. It's going to affect the way that you move. And we have to be cautious that we don't injure ourselves on different footing. So I would encourage practice in different places and just see how it's different for you. And the tips for uneven footing are, you don't need to avoid it, but slow down. And when you need to, use a treading mud step or, basically a drag step. So if I were to do brush knee, I have this nice clean stepping, right? I can pause, do a centering step and a cat stance, and then go into my bow stance. But if I'm on, there's a few different ways that we can do these postures, right? So here, I just kind of go from bow stance to bow stance in my brush knee. And this is nice and easy, bow stance to bow stance. But if I am feeling a little bit more unstable, or if I'm on uneven ground, what I can do is I can do one brush knee, okay, rock back, step up into a cat stance in my preparation, and then step out into my bow stance and finish. So I'm basically, instead of going bow stance to bow stance, I'm taking a moment to do a centering step and to find my balance and my equilibrium before I go out into the next thing, right? And so we'll notice in parting wild horses mane, right? We go to the corner, we open, we do rock back, step up, hold the ball into a cat stance. We do this centering step every time in parting wild horses mane, and then we step out. And of course, one of the applications for parting wild horses mane is we're actually going around somebody's foot and pushing them off balance. So we're actually tripping and pushing somebody for parting wild horses mane. So of course, it's going to make sense that we want to prepare, step around, and then push, right? So that's one of the applications there. But just be mindful that we have our usual way of doing practice, our usual way of doing Tai Chi, but we can always adapt to the circumstances. So make sure that I'm centered here. In Bagua, walking, change directions with a single palm change. So these are nice, slow, clean steps for Bagua. If I slide my feet forward, okay, I'm on concrete here, so I've got a little bit of stick. But say I was on sand or I was practicing in the dark, you can just slide your back foot forward. I'm getting a little stick here, but if you have socks on carpet or if you have a little bit of slide, you're just adding friction when you do this slower trotting mud step, okay? So this is a way to adapt and practice in different circumstances. So it's a little awkward because my shoes keep sticking to the concrete here, right? So this is a situation I have lots of friction. So for here, I want to do my nice clean steps because I don't want to injure my knees. I don't want to have too much friction. So think about where you're practicing. Do you have shoes, socks, barefoot? Are you worried about slipping? Are you worried about tripping or falling? Or are you all good and focused on, alignment, relaxation? What have you picked to focus on for the day? Let's see where we're at for time here. Okay. Check I don't think I can. Oh, all right. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay right now? Okay. All right. Let's do some strike tiger review. So just follow along. When you have the space, you don't have to step up for strike tiger left and right. You can actually go back. So I'm going to do that here. Instead of stepping up with each step for strike tiger, I'm going to go ahead and step back. Okay, so I still straighten out. Okay, I'll come forward a little bit. I won't get too far away from here, but for strike tiger left and right, we're going in place, but we're going to step back. And from here, I do turn my feet forward, step back, basically turn my feet forward, set up for the next side. Okay, so you can practice strike tiger left and right in place like we were doing before. In that case, we shift back to center, right? And then we step back. If you'd like to do strike tiger left and right, when you do your split, step back up to the same place that your foot was in before. Okay, so we just shift forward again if we want to go in place. If you don't, you have to step back, just straighten out your feet. And when you split, basically cat stance, drag, step back into your bow stance. Okay, straighten out, kind of drag back into the cat stance. Just be mindful of your knees and your toes, which direction they're pointing. Okay, so if that feels like it's stressing your knees at all, you can just go back to strike tiger, shift back forward onto your front leg. And if you feel like being more active, you can do this step back and travel backwards with your strike tigers. If you straighten your toes to the front first, it's a little easier to get into your correct stance. So take a moment, set up, straighten your toes. Keep going, strike tiger left and right. Split, step back, shift back, grab, turn and strike. Split, step and grab, turn and strike. Split, step, shift, grab, turn, strike. All right, how's that feeling? Thumbs up, Doing good? Okay. Let's do a little wind down because I want to keep it brief today. So let's kind of sandwich our warm up and our practice and then our warm up again, or our cool down. So let's do the same thing we did to warm up. Let's do some wrist circles overhead. Let's do a little bit for our wrists and our arms. So think if you had a board down here and a board up here and you wanted to hit it with your wrists, right? It's not hard, it's not gonna hurt. Let's hit our wrists on the top and hit our wrists going down. And just keep doing this a few times. So we're just kind of flexing through the wrists, and you can make it a smooth movement, but when you wanna think, hit your wrists at the top and hit with your wrists first at the bottom, right? And you can sink and rise and make this a whole body movement as well. Just getting some flexion, hit down, hit up, get some nice movement and flexion through our wrists and all those tendons. Make it a full body movement with your knees. And let's do that same blocking drill that we did before. So we're gonna sink down, squat down a little bit, rise up to block each side. Use your knees and your torso to make this a full body movement, a full body block. Sink and rise, contract, expand. Let's go back. Let's do a nice, slow, controlled, full body circle. Let's do that a few times. So just use your fingertips to lead. Getting a nice stretch in all directions. Go both ways. Step into a bow stance. And let's do our hip circles forward. Take a smaller stance if it's hard to circle. Switch sides. Circle your hips forward. Let's just stretch down each side a little bit. You can point your toe up if you'd like, or you can leave it flat, whatever feels okay for you. Just relax your low back. Bend your knees, use your core to come up. Same thing, other side. Just slowly bend down, relax the low back. Use your knees and your core to come up. Same thing to the front. Nice and slow, hang forward, relax your back. Just gonna walk my hands from toe to toe, just kind of swinging side to side, getting a little stretch behind the knees. Back to the middle, bend your knees, slowly come up. If we start with our feet together, turn our heels out, toes out, heels out, toes out. Make a nice little ball here, sink down into a horse stance. Breathe in and out. Tuck your tailbone, tuck your lower back. Breathe, straighten your legs slowly. Shift to one side to bring your feet back together. Thanks for joining today. We'll end here. Remember to relax, stay hydrated, all that good stuff. Thanks for being flexible with our call today, and I will see you next week. Bye.